Sup peeps, my name's Ian, I sell books on eBay. Saturday, it's like 6:15 in the evening. I wasn't going to do a video today, I was just having a wee day off. But it kind of turned into a wee bit of an interesting day, so I thought, well, let's just jump on and share for a few minutes. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't, stop now, go and do something more interesting instead. Why don't you? I hope somebody gets that reference. Yesterday I mentioned I was trying something a wee bit different with the listings. So I don't have things perfect, but I've got things running quite well with the variation listings that I have up. So I know which authors seem to sell from the ones I've experienced, which ones sell reasonably well, so I know to pick them up and keep them well stocked. You know, Dilly Court, Julia Donaldson, Lee Child, to name but three. The pre-made bundles, I'm beginning to get quite a good sense of what works well there. Most of you guys told me it, so you already know all of that stuff. You know, series, fantasy collections, very common themed stuff. You know, no point in putting together a random chunk of books. Nobody's interested. In fact, I've got a couple of listings like that I need to take down, split up and redo. But the one thing that I struggle with is individual books. So they do sell, you know. What I've been doing up till now was they're all listed for round about £3, you know, £2.50 up to about £3.50 for just a standard paperback or hardcover book, and then £3.99 postage. So if somebody makes a bundle out of them, they get the same deal they would if they went into a variation listing or they bought a pre-made bundle. But if they want to buy a single book, it's going to cost them £6-7, which for the most part folk aren't going to do for a lot of the stuff I've got listed, unless somebody gets round to making up a bundle with them. It's just not going to happen. So although the odd one does go out, and there's certain books that sell quite well, but typically they're worth a wee bit more. I've had a wee look at different things, I've done some sums, worked out that if I use pretty much the cheapest shipping option available for a kind of standard sized book, not large letter, but you know, a small parcel. If I don't put promoted listings on these low value items for the most part, then I know what the minimum is that I can sell a book for and not lose money. So that's the calculation. This only works because I'm a VAT registered business. You don't pay VAT when you sell books, but you are paying out VAT when you're paying for your postage and eBay fees. So every quarter my VAT return goes in and I get a rebate against what I have paid to the VAT man for these things. You know, that gets taken off anything I owe the VAT man for anything I've sold that does have VAT on it. So when I'm selling my books for the minimum price, which is £4.25, no point, no keeping that a secret, it's up in all my listings, then that allows me to pay for the postage, pay the eBay fees, pay for the cost of the book, with just assuming my average cost is 25p a book, and pay for my packaging. And without promoted listings on it, that leaves me about 42p profit from the total amount paid out. Which is not a lot, but I've got thousands and thousands of books. If I can get these single books moving, I can potentially pick up thousands more. There's, you know, it's not an unlimited supply, but there's an awful lot, even the places I go to at the moment, that I leave behind every single day, every week, because I can't move them fast enough and I've got nowhere to store them. And that's my handicap. So if I can get more of these single books moving and keep my stock levels roughly where they are, then, you know, I can pick up more and move more out and see if we can get a wee bit of something running there. Until I get more single books selling, then I don't know which ones sell well. There's certain things that are obvious, but you know, you're just kind of general bread and butter books, which things will move with, you know, some regularity. So I need to get a few sales moving to do that. So I've changed over a lot of listings in the last couple of days. I've put up a lot of new listings, maybe a couple of hundred, using that same framework, just to see what would happen over the next month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to give me a sense of where I can go with this. But I don't know if it's just because I've made some changes to my listings, and that sometimes gives the algorithm a wee kick up the backside, or because I've put on a few extra listings. I've actually had like 10 sales through on single books just in the last, well, today, which is a lot for individual books, which aren't fancy books. You know, they're just, you know, bread and butter, run of the mill. Having said that, we've got a Robin Hobb, we've got the new Robert Galbraith, Heather Morris, her Tattooist of Auschwitz on the TV just now, so this is the follow-up, Silker's Journey. Rome by Greg Wolfe, Flawless by Elsie Silver, an Agatha Christie, L.J. Ross, Menopausing by Davina McCall, something to do with hitmen. So there's been a good mix of them going out. A couple of others that I've already packed up and sent off it much earlier in the day. So you can't judge anything from, you know, a single's day's worth of sales as such, but there might be a bit of momentum there. As I say, I'm making pennies on these sales. If I'm paying 25p for a book, I'm profiting, the business is profiting 42 pence. So it's not a huge, you know, profit, but it's, you know, if I've paid 25p, I'm getting that 25p plus 40 odd pence back, so say 65p back for every 25 pence spent. So more than doubling money. That's absolutely fine. The listing fees vary slightly depending on how it sells, etc. So there's always a wee bit of, you know, a few pence either way on that. And like I say, I don't get anything back at the time of the sale. It's pretty much what comes in goes back out to cover the postage, but when the VAT rebate goes through, I'll get my few pence back on it at that point, and that's where the gain is made for these. So it really is, you know, going for volume over quality, I suppose is the way of putting it. But when there's that much available, let's work out and find out what does actually sell, and if it's a viable thing to do. Any stock I've got at the moment is paid for, so I want to get it listed one way or another and see if we can get it to sell. The only financial risk is that if it goes on month after month after month, and if I'm only making 40 odd pence on a book and it's costing me, you know, maybe 5-6 pence a month to list it, then that becomes an issue after a couple of months. So that's why I'm saying give it 6 to 8 weeks, see how it's working. If there's a big uptick in sales for certain genres, certain authors, seasonal books, whatever it is, then that'll let me focus in more on those and get rid of all the stuff that doesn't sell that way. And it's that simple. So everything's already paid for. I'm not making a loss on any stock items as such, but it gives me a chance to work out what's worth selling and what isn't worth selling and get it moving. I hope all of that makes sense. So I'll keep you updated on how that's going, because I know there's a lot of people out there trying to sell books, trying to compete with the big boys. But if I wasn't VAT registered, then instead of it being £4.25 the minimum, it would need to be £4.99 would be a minimum I could sell books for, and that would really just be, you know, breaking even, selling them for fun rather than any kind of profit. So it's a very tight bit there. Where there is potentially more profit in these is if people do buy more than one book. So heavily encouraging people to do that. You know, it's still buy 3, get 2 free. So if somebody goes in and they buy 5, then they're going to pay me 3 times 4.25. Was that £12.75? So if it was £3 each plus £3.99, it would actually cost £12.99. So although the books are more expensive, it works out cheaper than the old way of doing it. And with it being the free postage part of it, I'm hoping it will encourage more people to go in and look, see the buy 3 get 2 free, click on that, go into that list and buy bundles. You can buy 2 and get 1 free, or you can buy 3 and get 2 free. So either way it works, and as soon as that happens, then that £12 $75 revenue coming in, still only costs the same to ship out. Well, slightly more. If it goes between 1 and 2 kilos, it costs me a wee bit more to ship it, but an extra 50-60p to bring in an extra £8.50. It's worth it. So that's where the real wins will be on that one. When people do buy more than one book at a time, then I save on the shipping, therefore the profit, it's 6-7 times what it would be just selling the single books. But to mitigate the risk of people not buying in bulk multiple items, which like today nobody has for many of these particular listings, it's all been single books that have been picked up. It means that I'm not going to lose money selling the books on their own. 40p a book, takes a minute to list it, takes a couple of minutes to pick it and pack it, etc. It's not going to be a profitable hour if that's all I was doing. So, if it's say 5 minutes to completely process a book from listing it to picking and packing it, I mean, it's quick. 5 minutes is quick, but to only make 40p, and you can only do, if it's 5 minutes, you can only do 12 times an hour. So it's £4 or £5 an hour is what potentially you're going to make from doing that, which is a bit so I need to make sure that processes are smooth, things run really, really quickly, and that people buy more than one book. I've never had to spend an hour picking and packing just single books. There's always bundles within that. So if I get an awful lot more single sales today through tomorrow, I'll keep a whole chunk of them together and see just how quickly that actually goes. Does it take a minute or two to actually pack, label and get a book out? Or if I've got 50 like that sitting there, can I get all 50 done in half an hour? I don't know, need to wait and see. They should be quick. But anyway, that's what that was all about. I'd mentioned it yesterday. There were a couple of questions about what's the cheap postage option. Using Every or Yodel, they're the cheapest. I have been in touch with Every to see about setting up a business account, but their kind of minimum to step into that is 100 deliveries a week, and I'm probably got about 120 a week, 140 a week going out at the moment, so I'm right at the bottom of the end of that. I don't imagine there's going to be much in the way of savings, but if I can get that up to 200, 300, 400, 500 orders a week going out, then potentially there's even more saving there, which means I can either bring that £4.25 price down a wee bit or make a wee bit more profit. And I need to decide at that point what's going to be the most beneficial. Lose 20p a book when you're selling them, but sell 3 times as many. That's where the benefit may lie. Anyway, enough about all of that. The other thing that made today quite interesting was I was back at the supermarket, as is what I do. It is literally a 2-minute walk round the corner. It's just a wee Tesco, not a mini Tesco, not a big Tesco, just a old-fashioned size supermarket, if you know what I mean. And they've got the wee community bookstall, and somebody had just dropped in a box of books, so that's fantastic. I'll have a wee dig through that. Picked up a stack of Georgette Hare that'll go up nicely as a bundle, a handful of kind of bread and butter books to add to the variation listings, and 3 that were a little bit more interesting. And I mean, the community bookstall, for the effort it takes, because you're in the shop anyway, and for what I've found in that place, it's been phenomenal. Loads of Terry Pratchett collections, Stephen King collections, signed books, all sorts in there. And the good thing is that if somebody's just gone in and dropped a load off, typically it's some sort of a collection. So if they've got one and it's something you're interested in, they've probably got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 of them there. There was a big stack of Mills and Boon, but I don't like paying too much for them, because you've got to get rid of them very, very cheap, and I don't want to stiff the box by saying, well, actually I'm only willing to pay 20p each for these, so taking 5 for £1 when they do like you to pay 50p a book. So I just leave ones like that are there. But I found 3 interesting books in amongst it. The first one is Twilight. Not that Twilight, this Twilight by William Gay. I don't know anything about it, but when I see books that I like the look of, I pick them up. So I picked it up, I took a chance, having a look at it. it seems to be good for about 12 quid. So that paid for the messages that I got as well. First edition, it's a US edition, printed in San Francisco, manufactured in the United States. So I really don't know anything about it other than it's got a nice wee bit of value. There's not many listed. Again, there's not many sold, but the sell-through rate's probably about 50% if you use the usual sums on it, and it can go for £10 to £12. So that one's listed, and we'll see what happens with it. But amazing what you find in Tesco. And I can't remember if I checked the cover to see if it's a nice binding. Yeah, standard binding. Quarter bound, but all cloth. Very nice. So that was one of them. The second was a Warhammer 40k. Again, these can be worth some silly money, as we have discovered. So it is Night Lords, the omnibus. Picked it up and thought, my God, look at that. That is in phenomenal condition. And then I found a tear on the back cover, which was a shame. But still, it's looking like a kind of £10, £11 book. So, fantastic. A big, chunky one. I think it's a first print of the paperback. Well, it's not a particularly old... I thought it was not a particularly old book, but it's actually 2014. Yeah, 2014. So it's 10 years. And it's in fantastic condition, apart from that tear in the back, which is pretty invisible, you know, against the condition of the whole thing. And it's the kind of thing, if I had it, I'd put a wee bit of tape on the inside just to keep it together, not sellotape. There's other tapes out there. I can't remember what they're called, but it's kind of archival stuff. I used to use it. I'm a trained bookbinder. Well, college years and years and years ago, I did bookbinding. So there's some kind of archival tape stuff I can't remember the name of. I don't have any at the moment, but I would put that on that inside there just to stop it from flapping about and getting worse. You'd still see the tear mark as such. It's not going to make that invisible, but it would hold the book together. So 10, 11 quid for that one as well, which is very nice. And then we Stephen King, Cycle of the Werewolf. I didn't think much when I saw it. I read this when I was like 12 or something, and it scared the shit out of me. It really, really did. I've never gone back to it soon. Even the pictures terrified me. Werewolves, that's my boogeyman. None of the monster stuff bothers us, but sometimes if it's dark, if I'm out the back, if I'm out in the woods and I'm by myself, I believe in werewolves. Lycanthropes, they're my supernatural fear. Vampires, whatever it is, nah. But werewolves scare the bejesus out of me. American Werewolf in London, I still struggle to watch that film. See the subway scene, down it just appears at the oh. So anyway, found that fantastic. I don't have it. I was going to keep it. I'll add it to the list. Then I thought no, because I'm just wanting to get hardcovers. I don't know when I'll ever find a hardcover of that right enough, but it is the original paperback edition from 1985, although it's the 11th impression, so it's not like a first or anything, but it means it's worth 10, 11, 12 quid. So I think I paid about £7 for 14 books, might have been 15, but of that lot, those three there, £30-35 in total in sales will come back from that, and probably reasonably quickly. By reasonably quickly, might take 3 months, but it'll come back reasonably quickly. And that's just picking stuff up when I'm out in the shops, having a wee nosy about. So yeah, do the same thing. Check out your community books shops that are buried in your supermarkets and see if they don't have one. It's the kind of thing that you should maybe see if you can speak to the store manager and set something up, because that will become a supply for you. If you can agree they've got a wee space there, get somebody to donate just a bookcase, you know, a kind of bog standard type of bookcase, a table, a bench, whatever it is, but they've got that wee free bit of space. Stick 20-30 of your own, you know, donatable books on it. Go to one of the local charities and say, look, we want to set this up. Do you want to provide a tin that you can chain to the bookcase and it can sit there, and people can leave books there. People can take books away, leave a donation, and they can do all of that. And once that gets started, no matter where you are, people will start doing that. Donating books to charity shops can be a right pain in the backside in most towns, because you can't park outside them. You can't get close to them, and the thought of lugging bags down a high street in the rain to the charity shops, it doesn't appeal to a lot of people. So a lot of the smaller shops that are on the high streets don't get these anymore. But if you're going to get your messages, you've got all these bags with you anyway, so why not take a bag of books with you, drop them off at the community bookstall bit, and then go and get your messages. 2 birds, 1 stone for people wanting to donate. So if you've got a local supermarket that you go to and they don't have that, it might be worth suggesting to them that, you know, would they be willing to do that? Are they allowed to have that somewhere, you know, usually behind the tills on the shop floor? And all you need to do is speak to a charity shop, a local charity who wants to have their cans at it. You get a few books onto it to get it started, and then it will just roll. Sometimes I go in and there's like 5 books, five books on the shelf. Other times I go in and there's a couple of hundred, and people just clear stuff out and go, and it becomes a source for you to go in and find gems. Not necessarily just for reselling on eBay, but for your own collection, your own reading. It's definitely a good thing to do. If all the shops around here didn't have it, I would be doing exactly that, but they've all got them set up and good to go. And also, it might give you a wee in with a local charity who, you know, if you're making that effort to get them something different and making that arrangement, because all they're doing is providing a tin and somebody who can go and collect it on a however often basis, then that's all a bit of something that you're helping create, but then you don't have to be involved with going forward. You just instigate it. So anyway, enough. 3 nice little pickups. The single books thing seems to be so far working, but it'll be 6 to 8 weeks before I've got any real idea whether it's costing me money or making me money. Yesterday was a fantastic day of sales. Sorry, the day before yesterday was a fantastic day of sales. And I said at the time, that probably means it's going to absolutely bomb. And guess what? It absolutely bombed yesterday. I think I did about a quarter of what I did the day before. So, you know, a massive drop, which is frustrating and disappointing, but not unexpected. You don't surf the highs all the time. You have to plunge the lows in a matchstick spent. Yeah, which is it's annoying. And today's looking like it's going to be kind of the same. I mean, at 6 o'clock, I'd matched what I did all day yesterday, so there might be a few extra sales on a Saturday evening, but usually Saturday evening's very, very quiet, so just need to cross the fingers and see if it can pick back up a bit and have some money coming in for tomorrow. So yeah, not a surprise, but still disappointing. It's always disappointing when you don't have a good day, and my head's still confused from, although it's 25 years, 20 years since I last worked in retail, but the weekends, the Saturdays especially, were always the big busy days. So it still surprises me, even though I'm selling online and it's a completely different beast, that Saturdays are typically quite quiet, rather, because, you know, if people are out shopping, they're out at the shops because they're not working, they can do that. So my head still gets slightly confused by all of that. But Sunday might be good, Monday might be good. Maybe it was a bank holiday weekend, people are away doing things and aren't buying stuff online. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I'll no doubt be back tomorrow to talk about some mince or other. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.